President Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Monday, December 2nd. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Back in June, the president's son Hunter Biden was found guilty of felony gun charges in Delaware. And in September, he pleaded guilty to tax evasion charges in California. His sentencing in the gun charges case had been set for this month, but now that won't happen. Because yesterday, President Biden issued a full and unconditional pardon for his son. In a statement, he said his only surviving son had been, quote, selectively and unfairly prosecuted. It was a controversial decision. The president has repeatedly pledged not to use his presidential powers to protect Hunter. But the move comes in the waning days of Biden's presidency, a time when he will face few political ramifications. Number 2. Lawmakers expressed their doubts about Donald Trump's pick for FBI director. On Saturday, Trump said he planned to replace FBI Director Christopher Wray with Kash Patel. Patel is a staunch Trump loyalist who served in the first Trump administration, and he's a fierce critic of the agency he would lead. He has vowed to fire its leadership and dramatically reshape its mission. He has also promised to use the Justice Department to go after journalists. For Patel to be nominated, though, Wray would have to resign from his 10-year term or be fired by Trump, who picked him to lead the FBI back in 2017. And Patel would need to be confirmed by the Senate. He could face resistance there, as members of both parties have expressed concerns that Patel's appointment could undermine the FBI's independence. Connecticut Democratic Senator Chris Murphy spoke on NBC's Meet the Press yesterday about the Patel pick.
Kash Patel's only qualification is because he agrees with Donald Trump that the Department of Justice should serve to punish, lock up, and intimidate Donald Trump's political opponents. And so the cost to the American public is pretty simple. The Department of Justice and the FBI is supposed to be there to go after drug traffickers, gun smugglers, to go after corrupt Wall Street financiers. Instead, the Department of Justice is going to serve Donald Trump's political interests.
Number 3. Syrian rebels have taken control of the country's largest city. On Friday, rebels captured Aleppo in the country's north. Their shockingly swift offensive was led by an Islamist group, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. The rebels are now advancing south toward other Syrian cities. This is the most serious challenge to President Bashar al-Assad in years. Syria's civil war has raged since 2011. Analysts say the rebels chose this moment to seize on the weakness of the Syrian government's key allies, Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah. Those allies have been distracted by other wars, allowing the rebels to regroup and launch their surprise offensive. Nations failed to secure a treaty to reduce plastic pollution. That's our 4th story. Delegates from more than 170 countries met for a week of intense negotiations in South Korea. They had aimed to forge a landmark treaty to reduce plastic pollution, but talks broke down without a deal. More than 100 countries favored measures to scale back plastic production. But oil-rich nations pushed back, arguing that the world should target plastic pollution and not plastic itself. Panama's representative Juan Carlos Monterrey spoke at the summit yesterday.
Plastics are not convenience. Plastics are poison. Every piece that we allow to produce without limits is a direct assault on our health, on our nature, and our children. For those blocking progress, you are allowing this crisis to fester, and it will kill us.
Most plastics are made from fossil fuels, and plastic underpins a global multi-billion-dollar industry, but much of it ends up in rivers and oceans. Negotiators said they hope to resume talks next year. At number 5, Lake effect snow is burying the Northeast. This is a phenomenon that happens when extremely cold air passes over the relatively warm waters of the Great Lakes. Over the weekend, it led to incredible amounts of snow in Great Lakes communities. Yesterday, some places reported as much as 46 inches. Snowplows got stuck, and some post-Thanksgiving holiday travelers were forced to abandon their vehicles. It prompted emergency declarations in parts of New York and Pennsylvania. But it didn't stop the Buffalo Bills, even though their stadium in Orchard Park picked up more than 22 inches of snow. Last night, they annihilated the San Francisco 49ers 35-10 in the midst of a majestic snowstorm, and they clinched a spot in the NFL playoffs. All cash buyers are snapping up homes. That's number 6. Data shows that the share of home buyers paying all cash reached 33% through August this year. That's even though it takes more money than ever to buy a home in the US right now. And this trend is making things even harder for first-time home buyers. Many all-cash buyers are selling previously owned homes to fund their moves. And that's hard to compete with. People buying their first homes made up only 24% of buyers between July 2023 and June 2024. That's a historic low. Our newsletter today has a handy tool to help you see where all-cash buyers are snagging homes in your neighborhood. Find a link to that in our show notes. And at number 7, the earliest known country music recording has been found. That's the voice of New Orleans singer Louis Vasnier performing Thompson's Old Gray Mule in 1891. That's 133 years ago. About 10 years ago, a collector paid about $100 for a box of wax cylinders at an auction in Pennsylvania. These cylinders are the oldest commercial medium of recorded music. They sat in the collector's house for years until he decided to put one of the decaying brown tubes onto his custom player. It's a significant find because the country music industry has long overlooked Black artists. But it turns out the oldest country recording in existence was recorded by a Black singer. An independent label, Archaeophone Records, re-released the song last month. All right, you're all caught up. If you're not already a subscriber to The Post, you should take advantage of our Cyber Monday sale. Right now, you can get a subscription for just $29 for the first year. That gets you access to all the stories we talk about here on the podcast and more. It's also the best way that you can support the work of Post journalists. Just head over to WashingtonPost.com/subscribe. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.